seem a little nervous. It's because I am. So I had to write it down because I figured I wouldn't remember anything. And so here we go. As she said, my name's Danny VanMeter. I'm 36 years old, and sorry, this is going to be difficult. I'm captain of Team Cyberknife. This is our 5th walk. We did our first walk in Boston in 2011, and this is our 4th year walking here. Ashley, wherever she went, our awesome event coordinator, she asked me if I'd be willing to speak to be this year's Survivor speaker. Initially, I was a little hesitant to do so, and I made that known to her. However, after emailing back and forth about other details of my team, she quickly realized of my rambunctious personality. It was brought up in conversation somehow, somehow that I have a pretty awesome mustache, which I'm sure all of you can see. It's pretty epic. Thank you. But all honesty, I was honored to be asked because I'm just one of many survivors that survived this disease. So I'd like to share my story with all of you. In July of 2011, I was hired as a career firefighter with the City of Bridgeton Fire Department. A few weeks into my training, I began to have medical symptoms that I ignored for a few days. It finally got to the point that I couldn't communicate well with my wife and kids. My wife, being a registered nurse in the emergency room at the time, recognized that something was wrong with me. I vaguely remember my wife trying to wake me up after a very long nap, and I was confused and disoriented, unable to really talk right. I even tried to put my shorts on over my head. My wife quickly took me to the local emergency room. There it was determined that I had a bleed in my left frontal lobe of my brain. The ER wasn't equipped to handle what I had going on, so they flew me from there to Capital Health in Trenton, New Jersey. Capital Health, I had numerous MRIs, and it was determined that I had a tumor in my left frontal lobe. They believe the bleeding was caused due to heat and overexertion, which caused a vessel to rupture in the tumor. At this point, I don't remember too much about my stay in the hospital. I was there for 6 days between ICU and step down. The bleed subsided, and I was transferred to an inpatient rehab facility for 14 days. There, they began my therapy to get me back to my normal self. It was followed by months of outpatient therapy. I began to come out of the fog. If any of your survivors, you might have had those type of symptoms where you kind of feel foggy, you don't really know what's going on, you're confused, things don't really make sense. At first, I was depressed, heartache had taken over. I was down in the dumps, and I didn't want to be bothered. I'd given up.
Got this, Dave.
Then seeing my wonderful support system of family and friends, I began to come around. I remember one day being in rehab, and the chief of my fire department, the battalion chief, along with my wife and parents, they came into my room, they brought me my badges. Once you become a fireman and you make it, as they say, you get your badges. Well, they brought me my badges. But in my mind, them giving me the badges meant that I was done. That I could go home to give to the Lord that I've made it. But I didn't want that. I wasn't done. That's not how my story is supposed to end. I wasn't going to let the tumor write this chapter of my life. I, Danny VanMeter, was going to be the one writing this story.
Woo!
My faith in the Lord, Jesus Christ, grew with each day. Therapists got me up, walking, eating, and thinking again on my own. I was determined to get back on my feet, take this thing head on. Initially, I wouldn't allow my kids to come see me. I have a son, Dominic, who's 14 now, and a daughter, Madison, who's 10. Let's be honest, I was 31 years old, and I was supposed to be their hero. with an awesome mustache, I might add. I was laying in a hospital bed, unable to move, unable to walk without a wheelchair. I had to wear sunglasses because the light was hurting my eyes from the sensitivity, and I couldn't take any loud noises. Then my wife made me realize none of that matters. I was their father and they loved me regardless, not realizing I needed to see them for encouragement just as much as they needed to see me. The doctors, surgeons, therapists had all pretty much written me off from ever working again. Getting me back to just being able to take care of myself was their goal. But I had bigger plans. They would say things like, this probably isn't the best career choice with the heat and stress associated with it. Well, I can stand before all of you today and proudly say that I'm doing the job I love and have been for the last 4 years. I'm a public servant for my community, whether it be a medical call, cutting a person out of a car that just struck a tree, or going into a house fire to pull a child out of a house that's engulfed in flames. I've had numerous, over 10 to be exact, MRIs, multiple CAT scans, EEGs, blood work. My tumor is located in my speech center, and the surgeon I see at Jefferson believes if they go in and biopsy it that I may never talk again. Now let's be honest, some of my friends would gladly sign that paperwork to not have me talk again. They made that known to me. Since the first scan, my tumor has not changed in size or characteristics. My symptoms subsided, and the only lasting effect I have is sometimes stumbling over my words, or forgetting the word, or saying the wrong word. I live each day to the fullest and go about my life. My family is healthy, we vacation often, we eat a little too much at times, play sports, and we've also become members at our local church, West Park United Methodist, and we have a big turnout from them today, and I appreciate that. I've also recently became a youth leader there to help the youth and the kids in our community. Most recently, I completed arson school to become an arson investigator within my fire department. So don't get me wrong, I'll never forget about how my life got turned upside down in July 2011, but I believe this happened to me for a reason. Maybe it's to stand before you all to tell you my story, maybe to inspire someone who was going through a similar situation, or maybe to bring a new friend into my life. Maybe just to help bring awareness to this disease. Whatever it may be, I feel in my heart Jesus Christ chose me for a reason, and I am blessed to carry the load. You see, I don't tell my story to get anyone upset or to praise about myself, but to show that there is hope. I came out of this whole experience a better person, and know that if you need strength or guidance, there are people out there. I'm glad to share my story with everyone who is willing to listen, and maybe it can inspire someone else. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me and my journey. Let's have a great day. God bless.
Is he a hero or what?